I got a confession to make. I'm a little nervous tonight. This is reading with S.J. Roseanne and the other guy. Reed Farrell Coleman and Charles Salzberg, with all the books they have and that. I'm a little nervous. I got a little confession. I wanted to put that out there. I'm not as cool and calm as collected as I appear to be. So that's my confession. And since I got that confession out, I got another one to make. On the way over here tonight, I killed a homeless man. Just to watch him dance. He didn't say anything to me, he didn't ask for money, I wanted to see that. Anyway, I want to thank Charles for having me read tonight, and also he's done, when all is said and done, Charles is always going to be that cliche who's the nicest guy in the business. He really is. I've never heard a bad word about him when he was around.
But I'm always around.
But you're always around. That's what people say. But he did me a huge favor, and he's letting me borrow Henry Swann for just this evening. Henry Swann is his character in the Swann books, which are really some of the most interesting crime books you can read. Very interesting hero. Henry Swann is a skip tracer, also a debt collector. He finds missing people. He's not a private eye. Don't call him a private eye. He doesn't do murders, but people in your book die. So anyway,
usually the readers.
To the readers. Henry Swann has had some very interesting clients throughout the years. And I got to thinking, what would be the most interesting client that a skip tracer could get? Who would be the guy with the all-time greatest need for a skip tracer? And it came to me. And this is my, I think I'm going to be the first one to say this. This is my tribute to Charles Salzberg, Bob Newhart, and my father, Tom O'Mara. And I'm using a prop. Henry Swann, skip tracing and missing persons, yes. You can start by giving me your name. I'm sure that's quite exciting, sir, but I need your name, not your profession. Could you spell that, please? Oh, like that yoga thing, without the S. Okay, Mr. Pilot, and your first name? Really? That must have been tough growing up. You get teased a lot by the other kids? You know, like, punch us. What about we punch you? Oh, good for you, yeah. So what can I do for you, sir, Mr. Pilot? I'm not sure what that means. How can somebody be kind of missing? I'm still confused, Mr. Pilot. Let's start with the name of the party you wish to have found. Jesus. Well, I'm up here at 156th and Broadway. I've never heard it pronounced that way. Jesus. And his last name? Christ. Middle name? Harry. It's Jesus H. Christ. And where did he last reside? Galilee. That's in Jersey? Oh, the Middle East. And who did he live with his mom? What was his age? Early 30s. It's a little old to be living it. Well, I don't know, Mr. Pilot. A lot of mothers think their kids walk on water, but sometimes you got to cut the apron strings. What's the mother's name? Mary. Mary what? Virgin? Virgin. Her last name's Virgin. Her first name's Virgin. Okay, never mind. What about the father? Okay, stepfather. Joseph. And they all live together? Jesus, Mary, and Joseph? Oh, Joseph passed away when Jesus was a teenager. That's tough. What about his biological father? Does he have any relationship with him? What does that mean? He said we all do. And where does the father reside? I need you to be a bit more specific. Because I can't write down art in heaven on a report, sir. And what was your relationship to Mr. Christ? You're the 5th prefect. I have no idea what that means. Governor. Oh, of what state? Rome. Impressive. Hey, you ever shut down a bridge to piss people off? I was not implying you were a big fat bully, Mr. Pilot. And what were your dealings with Mr. Christ? I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Did you say prosecuted or persecuted? Well, legally there is a difference, yes. Okay, prosecuted. For what offense? Being king of the Jews. Really? I thought that was our last mayor. But I didn't know that claiming to be anything, king of anything, was a punishable offense, Governor. What specific crimes was Mr. Christ convicted of? Interfering with what? That's a new one to me. I've lived in New York City my entire life. I've never heard of anyone actually stopping a hooker from getting stoned. I could see where that would piss people off, yes. When was the last time you saw Mr. Christ? After his what? Crucifixion. You tried to execute him. You did execute him. Well, obviously, Mr. Pilot, he wasn't dead. Perhaps he was swooning. You know, swooning. Maybe he was unconscious and then woke up and walked away. You saw his dead body. Well, listen, I don't want to be a doubting Thomas, but no, I'm not trying to be funny, sir. When did he disappear? That would be the third day after the crucifixion. And the crucifixion was last Friday. Oh, I was out with my friend Goldblatt that day. Paradise Bar and Grill. That was a good Friday. Okay, Mr. Pilot. Yeah, it would help me if I knew what he was doing in the previous 24 hours before his crucifixion. Dinner with friends. What time was that? Yeah, my mother would call that a supper. Who actually attended this, let's call it a final meal? About a dozen friends. Oh, exactly a dozen friends. All single guys, huh? What do you mean plus one? Online? Yeah, hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, got a picture right here. Nice picture. Who was the photographer? No, never heard of him. Well, I'm looking at this now, and I'm counting only 11 guys and 1 woman. Hey, she's kind of cute. His girlfriend might have been the hooker. I could see why Jesus didn't want her stoned around those guys. Anything out of the ordinary happened at the supper. He washed their feet. That's a new one on me. Did you question all the dinner guests? All but one. And why was that? Really? Why did he kill himself? He ratted Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver. A real Judas, this guy, huh? You're kidding me. That's kind of like Lou Gehrig getting Lou Gehrig's disease. Anybody else that night have a problem with Mr. Christ? Peter. Really? Denied him 3 times before what crowed? I'm not sure if there is a difference between a rooster and a cock, sir, but that's an interesting phrase to use at a party with a bunch of single men and a hooker. I might have just said before the sun comes up, but that's me. I'd love to have your business, Mr. Pilot, but I'm not exactly sure what I can do for you. It sounds like you need the cops, you need the sheriff, maybe the federal marshals. I guess centurions would work, yeah. I can understand you want him back. Listen, if he was convicted, he wasn't convicted. You falsified the case against him in exchange for letting a convicted thief go free. Are you sure you want to be confessing all of this? I have no idea what the lake of fire is, sir. I could see why you'd want to avoid that, yes. I've heard it's good for the soul, but I'm not a religious man myself. Yeah, I can help you if you're willing to pay me my daily rate, $300 a day plus expenses. Well, Jim Rockford worked in the 70s and he lived in a trailer. I got New York City rents to pay. Anybody else you can think of who might be willing to harbor Mr. Christ? Anybody who maybe owes him a favor besides the girlfriend? Lazarus. And what exactly did Christ do for Mr. Lazarus? Seems to be a lot of that going around. Can you describe Mr. Christ for me, sir? Height, hair color, any distinguishing features? Bloody holes in his right and left palms and ankles. I'll check the local hospitals. I don't think so, but I'll check and see if there's any leper colonies in the area. What was he last seen wearing? A loincloth and a crown of what? I thought you said thorns. You did. I suppose irony can be painful, yes sir. What about his skin and hair color? Caucasian. I thought you said he was from Galilee. That's in the Middle East. No, Mr. Pilot, I don't watch Fox News. Maybe you have a recent photo of Mr. Christ you can send me? The supper one doesn't quite... Oh, it's also online. Give me a minute. Okay, I got it. Wow, that's a lot of pictures. What's the deal with him and all the sheep? I'll check on sheep farms in the tri-state area. Yes, sir, I read quite a lot of poetry and I'm very familiar with metaphors. Thank you. Serious guy, this Christ. I'm scrolling down. I can't seem to find one picture of him smiling. No, I suppose if I believed I was going to die for humanity's sins, I wouldn't be smiling all that much either. And what's with that glowing light around his head? Is that some sort of medical condition? Should be easy to find him if he goes out at night. What about the bright red heart on his shirt? Another metaphor. Okay. Hey, did Mr. Christ have any drug habits or history of abuse, substance abuse? I'm not sure if that's what I mean, but I'll make a note of it. Addicted to virtue. With all due respect, sir, all due respect, if you knew he was innocent, why did you go ahead with the execution? What I have written, I have written. Well, sir, that sounds kind of self-serving and a little bit more like Yul Brynner. Well, sure, you can blame the Jews all you want, but I don't see how you can wash your hands of it. Unless that's another metaphor. Oh, that one's literal. It's the same way here, Mr. Pilot. Anyone who avoids paying taxes is subject to fines and arrest. Yes, preaching and encouraging others to do the same is also punishable, but most of them over here just join the Tea Party. So this guy Christ, he thought he knew best and liked to tell other people what to do with their money. Did he ever own a mystery bookstore? I know a guy, that's all. All right, so just to recap, this Jesus guy was alive, you saw him die, and now he's alive again. Well, actually, no, I have seen this before. Did you ever read any Sherlock Holmes? And why exactly do you think Mr. Christ might be showing up in New York City? Besides the unmarried men and the prostitutes. He wants to do one more miracle, huh? Did he specifically mention the New York Knicks? Okay, Mr. Pilot, I'll take this info and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Absolutely, sir. It's my personal motto to leave no stone unturned. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. Sir, there's no reason to be cross with me. That time I was, yes. And hail Caesar to you as well, sir. Jesus Christ.